Warning, I'm going to be talking about pooping in this video. Welcome back, travel fans. As you know, I am Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. It's time for another Sunday story time video. Just got my haircut today. It's quite short. It's a little bit shorter than I'm used to, but by the time I'm home visiting all my family for Christmas, it'll be just the right length that I like. And I just realized I'm wearing my glasses, which is something I don't usually do when I'm filming a storytime video, but here we are, off on a tangent, and I haven't even told you what the video is about yet. Last week's storytime, I told you about how I basically forgot that I had been on the Disney Dream, and it's because watch the video. It's linked in the description below. And today I want to tell you about how when I got Montezuma's revenge. Montezuma's revenge is, if you don't know what it is, it's when you get diarrhea after you visited a foreign country. And growing up in the United States, that's what Americans call it when you go to Mexico and you come back and you get sick. Montezuma's revenge. And I knew what Montezuma's revenge was before I got it, and I still ended up getting it. And in this story, you'll hear how. Alright, as some of you know from my other videos, I am a trained musical actor, and I have been in a lot of musical productions. Mostly the big productions here in Germany, but also some smaller productions in the United States, including a tour for TheaterWorks USA. If you're a young actor starting out, and you want to get some amazing theater experience, do a tour with TheaterWorks USA because it was one of the funnest but also challenging jobs that I've done. And a lot of the fun part of it had to do with the other people who were on the tour with me. And I'm still in touch with almost all of them on Facebook. And so if any of you guys are watching this, hey you guys, I miss you. TheaterWorks tours are small, van tours. So our tour was six people plus a stage manager, and we had two of these really big, 9-passenger vans. I'm sure there's a word for them, or they have like a specific name or a brand name. I don't know. They were big vans, and the stage manager always drove one of them, and we actors always drove the other one. And usually all the actors were in one, and the stage manager, poor guy, was alone in the other one. But you know what? We actually bought like these cheap little kitty radio walkie-talkies to communicate with each other. Geez, I'm so, it's a big tangent day, isn't it? We were on tour in these buses. It was 7 of us, and we were in southern Texas. I was back then also a big fan of Mexican food, so when we went out to dinner, we very often looked for Mexican restaurants in the cities that we were in. And this is more than 20 years ago. This is probably like 22 years ago. So no smartphones, the internet was just a baby compared to what it is now. And so the way we were getting our information was like from local magazines and AAA books about the cities that we were visiting. AAA is the American Automotive Association. Yeah, that must be what it is. And I don't know if you can still do it, but back then, if you were a member of AAA, when you were traveling, you could write into them and say, I'm going here, send me information, and you would get tons of really, really useful information. And in fact, they used to make these things called triptychs. Does anybody remember those? Where they would like send you, geez, well, like when you're driving someplace nowadays and you're using your navigation system, your GPS thing, and it shows you like the map, as if you're driving it, you would get a book like for where you're going. And you could tell them, I want to drive from St. Paul to, Nashville, and along the way, I want to stop in Chicago. And they would do it all for you. It was really, really helpful and useful. And I wonder what it's like. I bet a lot of people at AAA have lost their jobs due to technology. I bet a lot of people all over the world have lost their jobs due to technology. Anyways, jeez. This video is not about that. It's about Montezuma's revenge, Morgan. We were in southern Texas, and we were looking for a Mexican restaurant, and the person at the hotel we were staying in recommended that we just drive, like an hour or whatever it was, and go to like a real Mexican restaurant in Mexico. So that's what we did. The entire cast and the stage manager, all of us. And I wish I could remember exactly where it was now, but I think it was called Reynosa or Reynosa? Someplace right on the border of Texas, sort of close to the Gulf. For whatever reason, I don't remember why, we drove to the border and we left our van there, and then we got in a taxi, and we didn't have any idea where we were going. We just told the taxi driver, take us to like the city center. And he was very nice and very helpful, and he's like, well, why are you going there? What is it you're looking for? And we said, well, we just want to look around and we're looking for a good Mexican restaurant. And he was like, oh, well, I'll take you to a good Mexican restaurant, but it's not directly in the city center. So what do you want? Do you want to go to the city center, or do you want to go to a good Mexican restaurant? First, maybe mistake. He seemed so nice and he was so friendly, and I mean, maybe to him this was a good Mexican restaurant. It was definitely very authentic, but we had no idea where we were going. We had no idea where he was taking us. He just said this is the restaurant he would recommend, and it was probably like the restaurant of his brother or his parents or something, I don't know. We got in a cab at the border of Mexico, and he took us someplace in the city. We got to the Mexican restaurant, and two of us in the cast, me including at the time, could speak enough Spanish. I can't speak hardly any Spanish anymore. I've forgotten it all since I moved to Germany and learned German, but that's how brains work, I guess. And so we were cool when we got there. It was fine. The way it looked was fine. The way it was decorated was fine. The service was fine. And the food was actually pretty good. I remember I got cheese quesadillas and, no, cheese enchiladas. And they were very tasty, although the cheese was, what was wrong? The cheese was like, I feel like, if I go back in my memory, I feel like the cheese wasn't melted, which seemed odd to me. It might be one of the things that led to it. But we had heard that you shouldn't drink the water when you go to Mexico. I mean, everybody knows that. Don't drink the water when you go to Mexico. And people say that the Mexicans drink it and they don't get sick because their system is used to it. But I've learned since then, and I hope that this is correct, that bad water is bad water, and anybody who drinks it is going to get sick. If there's bacteria in the water that makes people sick, then anybody is going to get sick from it. And so if you do go to Mexico, don't drink the water. And water includes ice. And so don't order frozen margaritas at some restaurant in the middle of a small town on the border of Mexico. Lesson learned. We had a good time. We had good food. They were very friendly. There was nothing about the restaurant experience itself that was bad at all, really. And I'm pretty sure they gave us also shots of tequila on our way out the door, and they called the same taxi driver who came to pick us up, drove us back across the border to our van, and everything was cool. And the next day, everything was cool as well. And I think it was then the day, like a day and a half afterwards, that we all met up for breakfast in the morning and got into the van, and the first person was like, gosh, I had a rough night. I was like on the toilet all night. Then everybody else was like, me too, or yeah, I had a really strange poop this morning. That's when we sort of started to get worried. And then it didn't take long, and then we all realized, oh my gosh, I kind of have a stomach ache. And somebody else was like, yeah, me too, can we stop? And then we realized that everybody was getting really bad diarrhea. And for the next few minutes, I'm gonna tell you about exactly what it was like, and if that's something that's gonna gross you out, or if you think it's gonna be too much, then I'll just say bye now and turn off the video, and I'll see you next week. All right, for all you people who are really interested in hearing what it was like, I don't remember having necessarily like really bad cramps, other than just like the cramps related to when, you know, you have to kind of go to the bathroom really bad. The thing is, and this is going to be like some really detailed explanation, but what comes out of you, it's like the consistency of molasses or maple syrup. It's thick and runny and sticky, and it smelled so bad. Like, it smelled so bad that I don't know if you've ever experienced this, that like you get sick while you're sitting on the toilet and like you want to throw up just because the smell was so disgusting. And we all had it, everybody in the cast. And you know, On a bigger musical production, like if, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 people get sick, then they have swings and understudies and standbys who can, you know, jump into the production if other people can't go on stage. But we didn't have that. We were just 6 people, and there was no way to cut anybody from the show because it was all like a, you know, like a Swiss clock with people bringing stuff on stage and bringing things off stage, and there was like nobody that you could cut from the show, or it just wouldn't work anymore when it's 6 people in the cast. And we were all suffering from the same thing. And we were like running off stage in the middle and running to the bathroom and coming back on stage. Like people were late for their entrances. It was a really, really rough, I think it went on for 4 days. And because of the way the schedule was, and because we were moving from town to town to town, and it was before the internet, we didn't really have the possibility to like make a doctor's appointment someplace and get treatment. So we just kind of dealt with it. We took Pepto-Bismol, we drank a lot of water, and we just waited for it to go away because the people we talked to, you know, they all said, well, if it's traditional, you know, like an easy version of whatever it is, of this bacteria, then it will go away after, you know, 4 days or maybe a week. But, you know, if you're experiencing other symptoms like really bad headaches, really bad stomach aches, you know, any sort of severe dehydration symptoms, then you should get treatment and, you know, maybe like go to, you know, urgent care or something like that, which was basically what we would have had to do on tour just because, you know, when you're moving from city to city to city every day, how are you gonna make that work? And like I said, before the internet, it's not like you could research, all right, in 3 days we're gonna be in this city, let's try to get a doctor's appointment there. Back then, it was that kind of process was much more complicated than it is nowadays. And another thing I remember is because we all had it and, you know, we were all suffering from it, like I said, and I know this is embarrassing, and gosh, how many times have I talked about going to the bathroom in my videos, but like I said, the smell was so bad, and we learned that, it was on that trip, I think, that I learned that if you light a match in the bathroom and then blow it out, that smell like sort of neutralizes all poopy smells. So there's a little tip I can give you too. However, lighting a match in a bathroom and blowing it out could also set off a fire alarm, but that's a time for a whole other story time video. Like I said, it went on for about 4 days and we were all getting really sick of it, and it also made us all, it kind of bonded us together, and there were some, you know, funny things that happened, and I mean, some people did have, you know, little slip-ups, and, you know, that's also embarrassing as well, but luckily we almost always had our suitcases in the van because we never stayed any place for longer than like 2 days, and so we could, you know, change clothes, and you know, if you had to clean things up or whatever, it was really not nice. And if you do get Montezuma's revenge, probably one of the worst situations you could be in is being on a tour where you're moving around all the time. And I remember one of the really highlights of this whole experience was then the first day, and I remember how the backstage of the theater looked like, where we were. I don't remember what city it was, but the stage left was sort of an open wing for anybody who knows a lot about theater, and stage right was the shorter wing, and that's where the dressing rooms were, and there were downstairs dressing rooms and upstairs dressing rooms, and there was enough that everybody in the cast had their own dressing room with their own bathroom, and it was like a huge luxury, especially in the situation that we were in, because that was another thing. When we were in smaller theaters, if there was only 1 bathroom backstage or 2 bathroom backstage, like I said, I mean, it was like extreme diarrhea, and you know, sometimes you don't know when the next urge is going to come, and when it comes, how long you have until it's too late. And so that was also an issue we had. Anyways, we were in this theater, and I remember it was between load-in and the run-through in the show. I don't remember exactly who it was. It wasn't me, but somebody came out of the bathroom from the upper row and was like, you guys, I just had a solid shit. And we were like, what? Oh, good, it's gonna be over. We're almost through this. And I mean, how crazy it was that we were all getting excited because somebody had like, you know, like a log again, and not like this sticky, disgustingly stinky, maple syrup coming out. Ugh, yes, it was not nice. So I guess that's my Montezuma's Revenge experience. If you go to Mexico, unless you are in like a really high-class resort or a very touristy area at a, you know, a well-known establishment, do not drink the water. Do not order a frozen drink. And actually, I also heard that if you're staying someplace and you take a shower, don't even like get a little bit of the water in your mouth, because there might be enough bacteria in the water that just that little bit could affect you. So be careful about that. Have you ever had Montezuma's Revenge? If you have, let's talk about it. Tell me how it is you think you got it, where you were, and if your situation was then as uncomfortable as mine. I mean, maybe even worse than mine. Of course, we at least had bathrooms and we were all in the same boat, so it wasn't like embarrassing to be like, you guys, we need to stop again. I'm feeling the urge, you know. If you were like backpacking or something, or like if you were on a road trip with some people that you didn't necessarily know that well, or I could think, you know, there are other sort of embarrassing situations. So if you've ever had Montezuma's Revenge and have like a funny or embarrassing story about it, please write it in the comments below and we can all read about it, discuss it, and, you know, feel schadenfreude for each other. And that's the end of this video for today. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. As I always say, I've got some special videos coming up, some more Disney stuff, and maybe if I get the time, I will try to do some special Christmassy things for you as well. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Special thanks to my VIPs over here on patreon.com/veryunofficial, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.